What's up YouTube, this is LDS Reliance. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you understand I am not a professional video guy. I do not know a ton about high-end video. I've never used an action camera before, so if you're looking for an expert review, you may want to go find another video. I actually chose to do this video because I'm going to start using it in my video production for my videos on my YouTube channel. This action camera is a 4K camera made by a company called ODRVM, and I don't know what that stands for, but I do know it's a Chinese company, and they approached me to do a review video on this camera. What attracted me to this product when I checked it out was the really low price. Everybody's heard of GoPro cameras, but they're really expensive, so not every household has one. But at $70 US, this could change that. This camera comes with a whole bunch of accessories, so I wanted to open it up and check out what we got inside. First up, we've got a regular micro USB data cable. Next we have the instruction booklet, which is written in 4 languages, but we'll talk more about that later. Here are 2 different adhesive mounts that you can use with double-sided tape. And here is the remote for the system, and again we'll talk about that later. And here is another type of fixed base that it comes with. The kit comes with 2 different batteries. One here is the spare, and the other one is inside the camera. And here we have 3 different types of switch supports, as they're called in the manual. And they call this piece a back clamp, which has a spring-loaded clamp on it. And we have a clear protective door, although the manual says it is not waterproof. And then here is a bicycle stand. And finally we have the camera itself. The camera comes in this waterproof case, as you see here. And to get things moving along, it comes with some zip ties, a cleaning cloth, some wire rope, some adhesive tape, and an extra battery for the remote. And in case you missed it as we sped things up there, it did come with a warranty card and some contact information. So that's a good sign because not all Chinese products do. So after taking the camera out of the case, my first negative impression was this battery door here. As I was trying to fire up the camera, I noticed that the battery was dead that was in it. And so as I opened the battery door, it flies off. It would have been nice to have a hinged door that couldn't come off like that, because that's for sure going to get lost at some point. Another negative is that the battery that was inside the camera did not have any juice whatsoever. I don't expect the battery to be fully charged, but it makes me a little nervous that there might be a slow drain inside the camera. So I finally got the camera to work, as you can see here, and it's a pretty big screen for such a small camera. I told you we'd talk about this manual a little bit. It is in full color, and the English is actually pretty good. There were a few parts that were a little bit hard to understand, but at least it's got pictures of all the components and it tells you how to set everything up. I'm not going to cover all of the settings and all of the functions of this camera, but I'll go through the basics with you. To turn it on, you just hold the front button down for about 3 seconds. By default, it will be in video mode, and it will be set to take 3-minute videos continuously in a loop. The rest of the settings weren't very hard to figure out. Basically, if you've used a point-and-shoot camera before or the camera on your cell phone, you can probably figure out this. Which brings me to another negative point, and that is that this camera is supposed to have Wi-Fi. However, that's a little deceptive because what it does is it broadcasts its own Wi-Fi signal, and then you have to join your camera to that signal. And in order to do that, you need an app. And while we're talking negatives, another thing I really didn't like was that it didn't come with a charger for the battery. Well, that may be sold separately or whatever, but the only way that you can charge the battery with this kit is to use this data cable, put the battery in the camera, and then connect it to a laptop or a wall wart. While that may not seem like the end of the world, it basically means that you can't be charging the second battery while you're using the first one. So the last thing that I need to go over before we actually use the camera is how to use this remote. So what you can do with that video button, if you hold it down, it turns the display on and off. If you just press it quickly, it will start and stop the video function on the camera. One thing to make note of here that I did like was that when you start the recording function on the camera, it tells you with an audible sound. That's a nice feature because sometimes when you're in bright sunlight you won't be able to see the screen very well. Alright, so now let's go outside and actually put this thing to use. If you're new to action cameras like I am, it's probably going to take you a few minutes to learn how to use these mounts. But eventually I figured it out and went for a little ride on my bike. Okay, that was pretty good. So now let's attach it to this solar-powered go-kart, which I have yet to complete. and push it down the driveway and see what footage we get there. Okay, that wasn't quite as cool as the bike was, but we'll make up for that by sticking it on my car here. Which leads me to another negative point. I've seen YouTube videos and TV shows using GoPros mounted on suction cups on vehicles like this. I wish this kit came with a suction cup instead of the double-sided tape mounts that it came with. First of all, they'd be reusable, which is the most important, but it also wouldn't leave a tape residue, and I think a suction cup mount would be stronger than the tape. So the last comment with respect to video is that, as with a lot of lower end cameras, it does very poorly with video indoors in low light. And the last comment that I wanted to make was pictures. So I took a few still pictures inside and outside so that you could see the quality that you could expect. Now, I don't think many people are going to be buying an action camera so that they can take still shots, but I was asked to do this, so here it is. Now keep in mind, I'm using these stock settings. I did not change a thing. This is on a 20 megapixel setting, and I did not use any focusing of any kind. You can see I didn't even bother changing the date stamp and timestamp. This was all just me pointing and shooting. So you've heard me yakking enough for one video. Let's wrap this up. This camera's $70 and you get what you pay for. There's some weaknesses with this, but there's a whole lot of value. This camera is very easy to use, and the kit comes with almost everything that you would ever need to use the camera. And I think you've seen that the quality is pretty good too. Thanks for watching this review video. If you're going to pick up this camera, please use the link in the video description to support my channel.